listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast, hosted by Rudy Ruiz. Spoiler alert.
Rolling Drinks in a Movie podcast. I'm back with co-host Carissa for our Halloween extravaganza. And this time we're doing another double feature episode.
Woo.
We're talking Terrifier and Terrifier 2.
Dang.
And for this, what do you got for us? So we got two different beers we're going to be trying out.
So we have two different beers. We're going to do Clown Shoes. Rainbows Are Real. It's a hazy IPA. Boston, Massachusetts, Vermont. And then we're also going to do Clown Shoes Space Cake Double IPA.
Hell yeah.
We'll start with the lighter one.
Yep. Start with this hazy. Rainbows Are Real. All right.
Rainbows are real. Gorgeous.
All right. Yeah, here we go. Cheers.
Cheers. Woo! Woo!
One's a little dank. Just a little bit.
That one, hella dank for me.
Bright, floral. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. What's the percentage on this one?
6.9.
Okay. Not bad. And it fades away really fast on the tongue, so.
It's hard for me to describe the flavor. It's definitely not fruit forward. I'd say it's a little more piney. Yeah, a little more
That's what it
piney,
is.
brighter. Floral is definitely a good way. Yeah, and bright. Yeah, bright
It's
floral.
kind of, it's
that's
pretty clean.
Yeah.
And you get like maybe a little bit of citrus at the very, very end, and then it like shuts off right away.
Yeah. All right.
Nice.
So we'll dig in the space cake a little bit later. So let's talk Terrifier. So, we talked All Hallows Eve. You got me into that. That was the first feature film debut of Art the Clown.
Yep.
Based off a short film he had done previous. So 2016, I think it is, we get Terrifier. I watched this in 2022 before the second movie was about to come out. And only because I'd seen posts about it on Instagram, and I used to shoot Monster Palooza a lot. And I've seen the image of the clown.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about the movie, but I never watched it. It just seemed like one of those other kind of generic, movies you'd scroll through on streaming. And one of my coworkers was, you're going to see Terrifier 2. And I didn't even know he was into horror movies and stuff. And he just said, you got to see it. Like, Terrifier's dope. And literally just based on that, I'm like, all right. And so I rented it on YouTube. And I was like, I need some movies to see. It's Halloween season. We'll check out Terrifier 2. And rented Terrifier on YouTube. And I was like, oh, shit. All right. I get it. This is pretty neat. And then I saw Terrifier 2 in theaters, like a late night showing. And I was like, all right, here we go, getting into the lore. So let's start with Terrifier 1, though. Let me do a quick little synopsis, and then I want to get your take on it first. Let's see. So Terrifier.
Because this was the first. I just watched it for the first time, both of them.
A maniac named Art the Clown terrorizes two friends on Halloween and everyone who gets in his way. Oh, unrated. I didn't even realize that. All right, Terrifier, what'd you think? Because you said you didn't want to see it.
Okay, so
you decided you hated it before you saw it.
I did. I was like, after watching, because I love anthologies, so after I watched All Hallows Eve, I was like, oh. And then after the last Art the Clown segment, I was like, oh no, this is like, whoa, too much for me. So when I saw Terrifier was coming out, I was like, oh hell no, I'm not watching this. Like I already know it's not going to be for me. I'm not doing it. And I finally watched it, and oh my gosh, it was like rough to watch, but I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to. Still obviously they went like above and beyond with some of this stuff, but I liked the movie.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it. And I do love me like a good low budget movie. And I like the way it was shot. It just felt like very grimy and dirty and just, yeah, I like this movie. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Certain parts were definitely worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But as all in all, it was not as, it wasn't like watching about 2 hours of just awful, crazy violence. It was like watching an hour of awful, crazy violence and a fun Halloween movie in between.
And it's a nice, tight hour, 25 minutes.
Exactly.
So budget estimated, according to IMDb, $35,000. So
what?
Yeah, so we'll talk about that later. Estimated, I'm curious if that's true, but I think I can see that. And you see all of it on the screen. So Damien Leone, who is the writer-director, also did All Hallows Eve and created Art the Clown as a character, is a special makeup effects person. So he's,
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
That's why it's all like practical, and he's like the key makeup artist. So that's why like all those effects are like really important, and why it's such a big part of all these movies. So he's like the lead guy with all that too. So if we're talking like really great cinema, like a great story and characters and all that, this isn't that movie. And I know there's a lot of bad reviews like because of stuff like that. But if you want just like a fun Halloween horror movie with lots of gore, great practical effects, and like I said in the other episode, what I believe is like the new like horror icon character that I put up there with Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, like all the hitters, like Art the Clown to me is up there.
Yeah.
Like easily in that pantheon. And you know, these movies are pretty contemporary, pretty modern, but I think like years from now, like in the decades to come, you know, we'll look back on Art the Clown as one of those classic
It's going to
characters.
be definitely a cult classic movie. 100%.
For sure. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, as far as character goes, it's like, you know, we just have the two kind of chicks from, you know, Halloween.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the beginning, I was surprised because I was like, wait a second. It was, I was like because it started with the TV.
The TV host, yeah, which is the actress from All Hallows Eve, which I just realized this time.
So I was like, wait a second. And I was like, And I mean, the effects for that girl's face, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she's.
Yeah, tears her up. First great kind of effect moment. I like how, you know, I was talking about, you know, All Hallows Eve, like I like the creepy vibe of when the girl's at the train station by herself and the clown just kind of sitting there looking at her. And I was like, I kind of want more of that. And we get that here, like that whole opening part.
Yeah.
Where he just kind of walks out, he sees them, he's walking around with his black garbage bag, and he's just staring at them at the pizza place and, you know, down the street when they're at the car and all that. Like, I love that. And you have the one girl that just doesn't give a shit and
like
thinks it's all a joke. Yeah.
And I like how in the universe, too, it's not like these girls are, like, thinking too much into, you know what I mean? Like, no, the guy at the pizza shop was like, get the hell out of here, you freak. And obviously, we know why.
Yeah.
But I like how there's, like, other people around trying to help in this situation, and it's not a situation where like they're just, oh my god, this person did it, and everybody's like a bystander, just whatever. Yeah, you know, I think that adds a little bit of realness. But you were saying the Art the Clown is different from the first one. Amazing, like that first scene when he's just sitting there, like just staring him down. I was like, ooh, like he is creepy. He does like an amazing job. It's just like the stillness, just everything about him. Like, oh my gosh, ugh.
Yeah, the performance of David Howard Thornton, threw him up there with fucking Robert Englund, man. Like, just everything he does, like the whole mime thing, and just when he does his smile and like will shrug his shoulders or just be really still, or like just the way he moves and everything, he just owns the character and makes him like strangely likable in a way. You know what I mean? Like you feel like it's not just a monster, it's like just the actual clown mime person. I don't know.
That's like maybe in the
Yeah. I completely love his performance, you know. I mean, obviously the makeup does a lot, but I feel like he delivers so much with his body language. You know what I mean? And just the little subtle details of how he'll shrug his shoulders or do his hands like, or his eyes, you know, whatever. He adds so much to it. And yeah, to your point with the realism, you know, it's Halloween night. And I like when they're at the pizza place, it's like the guys go up to the clown and they're just like, hey, you want to order anything? Like, what are you having? Like, all right, whatever, man.
Like free.
And just, okay, is he bothering you? Like, nah, we're fine. All right, cool. You know, and all that. It's not just like they're immediately thinking it's this, you know, serial killer type situation. I was very surprised, you know, I'm going to jump ahead that because we have the two, you know, the brunette girl, the blonde girl, I forgot their names, sorry, but there's
Tara and Dawn.
Is Tara the one that gets sawed in half?
No, Dawn is.
Okay, so
Tara's the one who has to go pee in the bathroom.
Okay, very like just light with everything, and you know, she gets caught up. We know she's gonna die. Like that's gonna be the thing, right? I forgot, even though I saw this movie just a few years ago, I completely forgot that the other girl gets killed halfway through the movie. The one that you think is going to be the survivor. Like I completely forgot about that. I was so surprised. I remember that he pulls a gun out at some point, but I forgot that was the moment. Because I remember we talked about that in All Hallows Eve, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that was like a thing in this movie. Because the first time I saw this movie, that shocked me because you never see that. Like, you're never going to see like Michael Myers take a pistol out.
No.
So I love that. You know, she's like getting the jump on him, beats him. It's all good. And then he just fucking shoots her.
And it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah. But then he like shoots her in the face a few more times. And you're like, oh, that's it. And then we get, you know, early on, she calls her sister and she's coming. So, okay, here's going to be our character. But yeah, I like how it's contained too. Like just the setting, like wherever they shot this in that building, or I guess it's a set. Like it seems like it'd be a set, but it feels like there's so many rooms and places to go and all that. It's really well crafted and made and well designed too.
Yeah.
You know?
Very creepy.
Yeah.
And I like how, you know, they have like the pest control guy in there, let him in to go use the bath. You know what I mean? Somebody there that could actually maybe help. So, you know, I like how in this movie they do like throw out a lifeline, like a possible lifeline. So you're like, oh my gosh, like it's not hopeless. Like maybe he'll do something or this one or that one or that one. And like people keep coming in and trying to help. And I really like, you know, her sister came. And then there's little old lady with the shopping cart, the crazy old homeless lady with the baby doll.
Yeah.
With her little baby. And I thought that was so funny when like Art, I mean, not funny, but when Art took her baby was sitting there like, you know, holding the baby, like, shh, telling her, you just need a mother's touch.
Right.
And like,
do you have any kindness in your heart? And she's like holding him. And you're like, oh, maybe there's going to be some compassion. Nope. He makes a woman suit out of her.
Oh my
that is a great creepy moment though, when he's like naked, just with his shit tucked and like the hair in the fucking chest on.
With the oh my god, I was just like, what the?
Yeah, that was
the moment.
Yeah. No, that's like a gnarly whole like little scene and sequence right there for sure.
The gnarliest though, I think oh my gosh, it's just so hard to watch.
The Saw part.
Oh yeah.
It's not as bad as I think remembered or thought. Well, I remember the first time I watched this movie when it came to that, I was like, man, are they going to go there? And then they do, but not that much.
I think what's the movie? Bone Tomahawk. Have you seen that?
I never saw that. Is that the one with Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
I never saw it.
They saw the person in half, and it's so bad.
Really?
It's like it was worse than this, so that's why I was like, this one's bad. But that one,
yeah,
same concept, just sawing people while they're alive. But yeah, that one I was just like, oh my gosh, that was an intense kill on this.
Yeah.
And the poor girl's just sitting there in her chair, just screaming. But she had a one-up on him too, didn't she? Or was it her sister? I can't remember.
No, because she gets caught up in the car. Like she's sitting in the car and he's behind her or something like that.
Oh my gosh,
or in the passenger seat. So
who smashes him in the head?
Well, Tara does. Like she ends up getting out and she like, because she kind of fights him.
She has her, she has the thing. Yeah, so she like kind of does. It's not that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she fights him at one point a little bit. The bald guy does a little bit too, you know?
Man, I like that bald guy. I didn't want him to die.
Yeah.
Dude.
Poor dude just trying to do his job. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, honestly, that feels like that's kind of it for this movie. There's not much to dive into or anything, you know? Like that's just that. But I love it for that. And it's really interesting if that is truly the budget. You know, it's a well-made movie considering that's for goddamn sure, you know? But again, minimal characters, minimal location, you know?
Isn't all that.
And the effects and all that. But I mean, let's go into Terrifier too, if you're ready. I don't have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing like they bring him to the morgue.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So that was the one thing.
Because he shoots himself. Sorry. So we find out that the chick from the beginning that was mutilated, that it's the sister.
Vicky.
It's her.
Vicky,
Vicky,
the sister. So like he hit her with the car.
Head,
yeah, and they're like, oh man, like murder. So yeah, he shoots himself. So everybody's like, oh, well, that's that. And she was still alive. So sad. So they bring him to the morgue. They bring everybody to the morgue, and the guy at the morgue's just like, mother effer, blah, blah, blah. And then on to Terrifier 2. And I wasn't sure if they were going to pick up right when they left off, or like it was going to be a continuing storyline, or like what it was going to be, you know, because I was like, well, I didn't really realize that, you know, because you knew Vicky was like alive, and that was like the 1 year later thing.
Which I do have to say, like that ending was interesting because then, you know, they're telling us like, oh, this is like a whole supernatural being, you know, this is like an actual monster coming back to life from like a headshot, you know? And I want to say real quickly that I love the atmosphere of the very beginning of the movie where it's a TV and it's staticky and it's like the talk show happening and it's really creepy. And the TV just sitting there like the orange and cyan light. And then it'll cut between him like putting his stuff on, his makeup and all the weapons on the table.
Fixing all of his stuff up,
And this great music. But yeah, it's a great atmosphere right off the bat. And then Terrifier 2, let me read this synopsis just because I'm curious. And this is where we get way more into the lore And like I told you, this movie is like 2 hours and 20 minutes long.
And
it's a whole other
I told
thing.
you, yeah. And I was like, man, I really liked this. Like, I loved the story. I loved the heroine, the girl. She was amazing. And I was just like, I really liked this movie.
Let's see. After being resurrected by a sinister entity, Art the Clown returns to the timid town of Miles County, where he targets a teenage girl and her younger brother on Halloween night.
All right. So this one had a ton of like lore and like the dream. I really liked this movie. This one was thumbs up. Do you want to hop into this one?
Yeah, let's do the next beer.
Okay, so we're going to do clown shoes, obviously sticking with the clown theme.
Now we're on the double cake space IPA, double IPA.
Double IPA. Hold on, let me chug this one. Because we'd be talking. Oh my gosh. Whoopsies. We're going to be lit for filming our short now.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. Okay, so double hazy IPA.
Yep. There we go. Cheers.
Cheers.
Ooh, I like the...
I like this one better for me.
I did it first, so there's like a weird taste on the back palate that I don't appreciate.
It's kind of sharp, right?
That aspect of it I like. It just... I don't know what the flavor is, but it's a weird flavor on the back end. But ultimately, I think I do like it more. On second sip, it improved.
Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really speak to it too much. It's a little more hoppier, but not too much for like a 9% double IPA.
This one is staying like in my mouth more, though, like after.
And you don't like that?
My mouth is hot. Yeah.
Dang, really? Shit.
Yeah.
Well, Terrifier 2. I'm glad that you like this one. I mean, I like it too. I thought it was interesting. Like when I first saw it in the theaters, I was like, okay, we're going into now we have like a main character. But there's this interesting connection that I can't wait to see how they handle all this in the third movie. So in some
100%.
interviews, he said that they're going to like get even more into like the lore and a little more of like where he comes from. What is this all about? Like, what is the connection between him and her
and her dad
and her dad?
Yeah,
because her dad like was drawing, and that's an interesting. It almost feels a little bit like a callback to All Hallows Eve. How she talked about the husband just is seeing shit and like drew these crazy portraits. So it kind of calls back to that in a way. And yeah, Damien Leone said that her character was, I think, a character he was developing for like another idea, like something different.
Oh, really?
But then he decided to incorporate it into this to be kind of like the antithesis to him. And I do like the symbolism of her being like the Valkyrie, and like the angel wings and all that is like kind of neat. But yeah, very interesting. I feel like they upped the ante on the gore in this one, clearly a bigger budget and whatnot.
Yes.
But yeah, share some of your thoughts.
Oh my God. So the budget was $250,000, box office $15 million. Okay.
Damn, that's still good. Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane. So I loved following the story of this, and I loved, like rooting for the friend, and just the kills in this were just, really brutal as well. But I loved like the dream sequence. I think that was one of my.
Yeah.
I liked the main character. I thought she was fantastic, and I liked the introduction of little Art the Clown. I was like, "What the freak is this?" And then
little girl.
Yeah, and she was amazing too. I was like, "Ew, how hard like as a child actor is that to be?" You know what I mean? Like that would be so tough. And I thought like adding that in. I think one of my favorite parts was at the very beginning or near the beginning, when Art the Clown, he's going and he goes to the laundromat and he like takes off all of his clothes and he has his coins and he washes his stuff, and then he sees the little girl and he starts playing patty cake, and there's a guy sleeping by the front door.
Yeah.
And Art leaves him alone the entire time until he wakes up.
Yeah.
And then he looks over and he's just like, oh, like this weirdo. And then you think like nothing happened.
Because they show that he's like by himself still. Art's like doing it alone from the guy's perspective.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. From the guy's perspective, Art is imagining this little clown.
Yeah.
And then like Art cleans up the blood on the ground. You know what I mean? He mops up, he cleans up his mess, he takes his clothes, so he's all nice and clean. And you think like he just left the guy alone because like you're like, oh shit, he like mopped up,
Yeah.
And he walks out and the guy just has the mop piece like just sticking out like he killed him, obviously.
Yeah.
But I thought that was like a funny way to show like, you think Art is kind of losing it and he's cleaning up his mess. He's doing things kind of normal. And you're like, oh, he didn't kill this guy. And of course, he totally did. And I just thought that was like really fun to do.
Well, we get the great opening too with the The coroner from the end of the
yeah.
first, we see what happened with that when he's like busting his teeth out and
Oh my God, I know.
pulls his eye out and all that.
Oh, and he
like,
takes his eye, he's like,
he just like puts it
in to make it work for him.
Yeah, really, really good kills in this one. I love the when he's like trick or treating at the other girl's house, like the nice girl's house, and just won't, leave. Well, even the Halloween, because I think the Halloween store part was before that, because they see him there.
And that one was really creepy too, because like she sees him, and I mean, I feel like I would kind of be the same. I'm like, is this like a worker, or is this like a dummy, or like is this something I should be scared of? Because everybody like knows Art the Clown at this time. He's kind of like gone around. Everybody knows about him. And
the brother is really her younger brother is really into like serial killer shit.
Yeah.
And he's gonna dress up as Art the Clown for Halloween.
And his
Sister
mom's like,
doesn't
that's
that
disrespectful. Da, 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 da. You shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, she sees him at the Halloween store after she has that awful dream. She has that awful dream sequence, which was my favorite part. But yeah, she sees him at the Halloween store, and that's like another part too, where like everybody plays it very realistic. Like, is this guy bothering you? Get out of here, man. We're closing up.
I love that shot when he's just leaning against the doorway, like with that smile, like frozen, and they have to like walk past him because you don't know what's gonna happen, and he just like doesn't do anything though. It's a really good suspenseful, creepy moment. Like that's I love that kind of stuff, and even when he is eventually or when he's behind her in line, or no, she's like, oh, I left my bag downstairs, and he puts it down,
throws it down, and it's just like,
and he's just trying on the sunglasses, like in the background. I love that. See, it's that good like little character shit. It went, all right, that's gonna be $8, and he's just like pulling all the bullshit out of his bag.
There's not. It's like a machete, and like.
But that's a really good kill because they saws his head off, right? But it's a really good one where the mouth and eyes are still moving, and it looks like doesn't quite look animatronic. It looks really good, that effect, like sawing the head off while it's like moving and all that stuff. I love.
And then the mom and the son come up. They're like, "Oh, they're closed," and he's standing there with like
cool,
the head.
With the head. Yeah. One thing I will say is like the mother actor. I mean, you're an actress. Like, how did you feel about that? She seemed a little over the top at times, huh?
Just very,
Or is that more the writing? How sometimes she just like goes 0 to 100 a little bit?
And I think it's one of those things like you can't really get a character, like it's not really focused on her, so we can't really get a character read on her or anything because we're so focused on everybody else. So, I mean, with those, we just have to make our own assumptions. Like her husband just died and she drinks wine and maybe she's having a hard time with her daughter and her son. Yeah. But yeah, it was just like.
That part when she like tore up the book was actually kind of sad to me.
I know. I'm like, dude, your husband just died. That's all your son has of it.
Because they established with the sister, like, we've been looking for this for so long. How long have you had it? And he's just ignoring her. But then we do get a little more insight, right? Where she does talk about how, like, that shit, like, consumed your father. Yeah. And this is just another fucking reminder of, like, why he killed himself or whatever it was.
Oh, he had a brain tumor or something.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I forgot.
Something with, like.
I feel like it's got to connect somehow. Way because it's like he was drawing all the stuff and the brother's like, you're the key, and that's why that's why he gave you the dagger and all this, and the dagger like later glue and that like brought her back to life or whatever. And that was a moment, man, where I was like, wow, we're really getting to the fantastical, like when he throws her into that other little hole.
I was like, oh, it's the pit to hell. That's exactly what I thought. I was like, oh, and then she falls into that thing, and it's all the dead characters from her dream.
From the dream, yeah.
And that's the thing. I was like, what the hell's going on? I was like, this is wild. I keep talking about the dream sequence because I really liked how they did that where, everybody's like, Art the Clown, hooray, hooray. And everybody's celebrating this, like, killer. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, I wonder if that's like a testimony or like just to say like we're all like, ooh, like scary movie stuff, hooray, hooray.
Oh, maybe.
And then he goes around and shoots everybody.
I love that dude, just wasting everyone with that Tommy gun.
And then she's like dressed in like he's like, take the present. She gets shot. She like tries to go down the slide and crawl over to the poor kid that's eating the cereal with the glass and the needles.
I love to the chick that's like playing the guitar and singing.
She's playing the banjo. He
lights her on fire, but she's still going. Like, great fire stunt. I love shit like that.
Yeah, but I love that part. Like, I was like, this is great. And then what was weird to me too is that her little brother, he sees Art the Clown, and he sees him at the school, but he also sees that little ghost as well. And I'm like, oh, but the guy, I like how they established the guy in the laundromat didn't see the little ghost.
No,
but he saw the little ghost. So it's just one of those weird things. I was like, huh.
No, it's like the little girl's the one who's like trying to bring them together too. So what's that all about? The little girl's the reason why they even had their confrontation and led them to the little fun house or whatever, the carnival in the first place. But yeah, so Felissa Rose was that teacher when those bully kids show them the dead possum.
Yes.
For those of you who may not know, Felissa Rose was what's her name? Well, she was the girl from Sleepaway Camp. So that was her little cameo.
Which is so wild.
Yeah. And yeah, man. Yeah.
So which one was the first like major kill in this?
Because I know it was the coroner.
The coroner, yeah. Out of the friends, because that was.
Well, it was I think her name was Allie, the one who's like giving the candy to the kids, which was really great. But yeah, that kill. So
my gosh,
that's the kill. That's like that's like the Saw sequence in the first movie.
So like each of them have like the gruesome, like the first one, obvious, like the All Hallows Eve, the limbless girl. The next one getting sawed right through and then this one was definitely this kill, because I was just like, oh my gosh. And I think the thing that makes, he like, okay, so he like snips her scalp off and rips her and then
and when you think it might be over, he comes back like after he's like filleted her and he's like ripping her arms apart. He comes back and pours bleach all over her
and salt. and then you're like, oh my gosh, it's all over. When her mom gets home, you think it's all over, and the mom goes into the room because she sees there's broken glass and opens the door and she's sitting on the bed, and Art is he's like cutting into her leg or something, or her arm.
Yeah, he's just like skinning her
and she's still alive.
And she like wakes up.
Oh my, she's like, Mom.
That's a great fucking like animatronic moment right there. It looks so legit. All of that was so good. It was
just so awful to like, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it was just so
And she was the sweet friend.
She was a nice, and and the thing is, like, all of her friends were just going, "Are you okay?" Like, everybody's like very supportive, very nice. There's nobody that you really want to get killed in this.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the funny part with that is that after the trick-or-treaters come up, and then Art the Clown opens the door, and he has the mom's head with the candy in it. And everybody's
like, that's so great. Cool. And they're like, wow, cool. Why is it so sticky?
It's just fake blood.
It's just fake blood. Take a candy. Yeah.
And then one of the kids goes to take more. And I'm just like, it's just so ridiculous.
I did love the scary moment though, because she gets creeped out when he first comes and he like won't leave.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you got to get the fuck out of here. I'm gonna call the cops or whatever. But later on in the evening when she comes down and the door is broken open, like the glass is broken, and he's just in the kitchen like drinking water and shit. Like I love that's that creepy kind of almost more realistic looking type of stuff, Yeah, man.
So she doesn't make it to the Halloween party.
Yeah.
But everybody else does. And I really like her other friend. I thought her other friend was a great actress in this role.
Mm-hmm. The one who gave her Molly.
The one who put Molly in her drink, because she's like, I feel so good. She's like, yeah, it's the Molly. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I took some too. But I really like that actress. I don't know who it was. I'll have to look her up. But she just like everything just seems so like chill and real and not forced. In the party scene, it just made it good. But the entire time she was like seeing like little flashes, and that would scare the shit out of me.
Her kill was good too, man. Like they show in the coroner's office when he grabs like other extra shit and like the acid. Oh yeah. And when the camera moves down and he's got it behind his back.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, the acid to the face.
Oh my gosh.
Rough.
And she was the one that was the entire time like, yeah, just kill me. If I ever look like that, just kill me.
Yeah.
And she gets acid. So at the carnival, where they all are. Because, and Art just kidnapped her brother.
Mm-hmm. I thought for sure he was going to die.
So did I.
And that's what I like, is these movies establish early on that, like, no one's safe, right? So I'm like, oh, he's going to fucking die. This brother's going to die.
Yeah.
Like, she keeps saving him, but then the chase continues, and he gets caught, saved. I was like, he's going to die for sure. And he doesn't, but he gets wrecked pretty good.
Yeah.
And I do love the moments where she is, like, battling him, where they're, like, fucking duking it out and all that. And for me, it's believable, because there's some movies where it's like, okay. But I believe it in this, She's kind of like a
she's pretty
fit looking girl too. Like she's got like broad shoulders and shit,
And it's like in the situations like that, I feel like, you know, when people say your adrenaline kicks in, and like you can like lift so much and do something, and like it's not just her fighting for herself, she's fighting for her little brother.
Yeah.
So I think like that established, you know, her brother didn't get killed yet. He's still alive, so she has to keep going for him. The mom got killed though, got killed quick.
Yeah, dude, that shotgun, that's like a classic like shotgun blow to the head, like Maniac style.
I know.
The car,
I was like, damn. Like right when she wiped it.
Yeah.
And like at that point, because man, she was blaming like a little kid, like her son, like that little.
It's interesting too how like I don't like sometimes when it becomes very mean spirited. And it's very much that in these movies. It's like Art the Clown is very mean. It's very mean spirited, but somehow it works. And that's the thing. I don't know if it's just because the portrayal and like the character, you know, I maybe that's a lot to do with it. But, you know, when they set her at the table and the brother comes home and he like smashes the mashed potatoes in her fucking mouth, blown like, up face.
Ooh. And the brother's just like,
yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, it's so, it is. It's like really like, man. But for this, it works, which is just so wild. Because it never seems like, I mean, it always is too much, but it never seems like, okay, like, come on. Yeah. It fits the bill.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, it works in this world for sure.
It definitely does. But I loved the fight scene. I didn't think it was too long. I like how we went to the carnival, how she was like beating his ass, and how she finally, you know,
takes his head, and then they both see the little girl goes and she takes it away. So what'd you think of the like ending though?
I was like, what the? And I mean, what a awful, horrible, but fun way to like make sure the character didn't die. Like that was just wild to me. I was just like, what the hell? It was so dark. It was so gross.
And now poor Vicky is like...
It's like Vicky loves art.
Lost her mind.
Yeah,
like,
she's done.
Insane. Fucking.
And she just birthed...
His head. Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait. I forgot that. That's like... I remember that they brought her back, but I couldn't remember like how. It's crazy how much
it's not like you saw her. Because it's a torn up face.
Yeah. But I forgot that like, oh yeah, she like... gives birth to his head, and then it just kind of like ends there. So another level of just like the ultra supernatural crazy shit. And yeah, I mean, it made me really excited for part 3.
See, and I think, and I know this is gonna sound like, I mean, it's very on brand for me, but I'm like, ooh. I was like, ooh, art, like serial killer. I'm like, oh, supernatural serial killer. Okay, like I'm on board with that.
Yeah,
which is kind of silly, but like, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I would recommend it for anybody who's not too squeamish, because there is a lot of stuff that is hard. But I thought it was such a fun story. I really did, and I did like how like all the supernatural stuff. I did like, you know, I liked how the knife turned blue in her stomach, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is very like fantastical.
Very fantastical. Yeah.
I'm into it.
I do like the addition of, you know, like his like a protagonist, you know, like a hero that we have now is interesting. So I look forward to seeing where it goes.
But like you said, if nobody's safe.
Yeah, no, it'd be interesting. Like, I wouldn't put it past them to like kill her off in the first 30 minutes.
I just hope they don't. I love her so much.
But that's the thing is like in this world, in these movies, they've like established that anything can happen, and that makes it exciting, you know? Like,
yeah.
I think that's all I have to say about this. Like, much like you, I recommend it as well if you haven't seen them. Especially if you're into like gore and like practical makeup effects, and you're not, and you like appreciate that stuff, then I think you'll really like these movies.
100%. They're fun. I mean, listen, if you're not into that, then you're gonna hate them. But for what they are, I think they're great, and I think he is like, you know, everything just has been upped, like, you know, upped a little bit.
Yeah.
So this one I definitely Terrifier 2, baby. I loved it.
Well, that's a wrap on this one, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks in a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksinamoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.